And then if it's cosmetic, if it's anything cosmetic, it's not covered at all.
Right, but we have the board form.
So I can just stop you. That's one way to go for the record. You can filibuster.
All right, ready?
I know.
All right, we're going to begin. This is to advise the general public that in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the Little Lake Harbor Board of Education calls to be posted at the Office of the Board of Education on 307 Frog Pond Road, Little Lake Harbor, New Jersey, and faxed on May 20th, 2019 to the Asbury Park Press, Atlantic City Press, Manahawkin newspapers, and the Sun paper, and to the Office of the Municipal Clerk of Little Lake Harbor, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. We had executive session already. Please stand for the pledge of Okay, first item, recommend motion to approve the July 22nd, 2019 agenda. Do we have a motion? Is there a second? Any questions?
Yeah.
No questions?
Mr. Malone?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetti?
Yes.
Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Palin?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Here.
Mr. Moncrief?
Here. Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item, recommend motion to approve the minutes of the May 30th, 2019 and June 10th, 2019 minutes.
Motion.
Is there a second? Any questions? No questions?
Mr. Malone?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetti?
Yes.
Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Palin?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item is a presentation by Mrs. Jacqueline Tresolino on the HIB grade report.
Good evening, everyone. There you go. Everybody's got to hear me tonight. So I actually presented this information to you back in October. October 31st is the due date for us to submit our HIV self-assessment, and the board approved it at that time. And just recently, the state released the final document approving of our scores. So one of our obligations is to present that to you. And really the purpose of the HIB self-assessment is an opportunity for us to learn about the district's implementation of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act and to address any concerns that we do have. It does assist us in the annual review of our programs that we have, our approaches, and other initiatives that are implemented. And it does help us review our district's HIB policy, take a look at that, see if anything needs to be changed. And this is also a requirement under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. This is the document that they give us. It does have to be posted this way on our district and our school websites on all three of the schools, and it is already posted on there. But I'll enlarge this information for you. There are 8 sections to the HIB self-assessment. The first section is titled HIB Programs, Approaches, or Other Initiatives. Out of 15 points, all 3 schools scored 15.
Is that good?
Yeah. What? Excuse me?
Is that good?
Yes, it's very good. 15 out of 15? Perfect.
It was like golf, where a low score was better.
Training on our Board of Ed approved policy. That is an annual requirement. We did, out of a maximum of 9 points, both Frog Pond and Mitchell schools scored themselves a 7, and the ECC scored themselves an 8. One of the main factors they scored themselves down is that we didn't feel we were doing a strong enough job training our substitute teachers as they were hired throughout the school year, and training of new staff that were brought on during the school year. We did a great job training everybody at the beginning of the school year, but anybody new who came on, we weren't always training them as thoroughly as we did at the beginning of the year. So we did put some things into place this year to do that. After every board meeting, we have a substitute orientation which covers the HIB policy and procedures, and also members of our school climate and safety teams are trained a little bit more so than they have in the past. So we anticipate these scores going up because of what we implemented this past year in this section. Other instruction and training programs, the Frog Pond, out of 15 points, the Frog Pond school scored themselves a 14, and Mitchell and ECC a 15. In regards to curriculum and instruction on HIB and related information and skill, all 3 schools scored themselves a 6 out of 6. HIB personnel, that we have the actual personnel fulfilling in the roles that are required, we all scored a 9 out of 9 for all 3 schools. Our school level HIB incident reporting procedures, all 3 schools are reporting their HIBs the way that they're supposed to be, according to the code. And our investigative procedure, we all 3 schools scored themselves a 12 out of 12. In regards to reporting, Frog Pond School scored themselves a 5 out of 6, whereas Mitchell and ECC were a 6 out of 6. In regards to that, the Frog Pond School, the anti-bullying specialist, and the school safety climate team felt that they could do a better job in getting more information out in regards to our HIB reporting. So they're going to be working on that. So out of a maximum of 78 points, the Frog Pond School scored themselves 74 out of 78, Mitchell a 76 out of 78, ECC a 77 out of 78. Those are good scores. And our district average is a score of a 76 out of possible 78. And we will be, this year, for the last school year, for the 18-19 school year, we will be sitting down doing this again in September and October. You'll hear me present it in October, our preliminary scores, and we hope to have at least a 76, if not higher. So the anti-bullying specialists at all 3 schools will sit down with their school safety and climate team. They'll go over every single component of the self-assessment, and they will score themselves and come up with a plan to improve upon anything that needs to be. Thank you. Any questions?
It's a self-schooling process.
Yes, it is.
So you
And
felt you
then
did a
we
good job.
submit it electronically to the state. They do review it. There are other reports we submit, and if those reports we submit don't jive with these scores that we gave ourselves, they'll look at that and they'll question it. For instance, if we score ourselves having a phenomenal perfect score for our HIB programs, but yet when I submit the SSDS submission, which I believe is on the agenda this evening, that there were no programs, but yet we scored ourselves high on this in regards to programs, then they would probably question us, say, you know, your state submission on the SSDS report doesn't coincide with this. So they do look at it in regards to that. But it is primarily a self-assessment. They look for some irregularities. If there are any, they'll question us on it, but that has not happened.
So the state doesn't do any evaluation? They just evaluate, they review what you evaluate yourself?
They do, but they're also, again, they're looking at our other submission, our other data that we submit. If there's been any concerns from parents where it has gone to the state level with an appeal, a HIB appeal, they would look at that. That would certainly make them look at our self-assessment real closely. We haven't had any state level appeals, so you know, they do look at other sources of data when we do submit this to make sure that everything, during our QSAC, which is when the county comes in and reviews all different components of our school district, from finances to curriculum, this is another component they'll look at as well. And again, if what they see when they visit here doesn't jive with all of this other information, we'll definitely be questioned on it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, next we have a report from the superintendent.
Okay, I only have a couple things. We are having a very busy summer here in the Lake Harbor.
Next week, we have our summer heat workshops, which are free workshops offered to anyone that wants to attend. They are held twice a day, and if you're interested in any of those workshops, it can be found on our district website and on our Facebook page. And everyone is welcome to attend, and they are free. The other thing I'd like to mention is August 6th from 5 to 8 is National Night Out for Little Egg Harbor, and once again, the Little Egg Harbor School District will have a table there. So we hope to see everyone out, and that's all I have.
Okay, residents forum, agenda items only at this time. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express, with each statement made by a participant limited to 3 minutes as cited in policy 167. The public may comment on any item on the agenda at this time. General public comment will occur later in the meeting. Anyone from the public that is here want to comment? Does not appear so. Move on. Board work session?
Okay, board work session. We have no policies to review at this time. There are 2 new positions on the agenda that I'd like to point out. One is a student and family support counselor. That is a new part-time position that will be held at the Mitchell School. This is a position that is being financed through one of our title grants, and they will service, as it says, students and families in need. If the money was not available through the grant, the position would no longer exist. But for this year, we were able to fund that, and it will be a part-time position at the Mitchell School. The other one is a supervisor of special education. This is being funded due to the fact that we very surprisingly received an excess in funds in our special ed extraordinary aid. And that's money that we received back for some of the money that we put out for some services. So we were able to create this supervisor of special education that will help with the observation caseload and just some things in the department. And once again, if the money doesn't exist next year, the position wouldn't. But for now, we were able to fund that position. Minimum wage is increasing as of July 1st. It is at $10 an hour, and then January it will go to $11 an hour. Our board and district retreat will be tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the media center here. Be ready to have a lot of fun, look at data, and create some goals for the school year. And that's all I have.
Okay, moving on to finance items. Recommend motion to approve finance items A through MM. Is there a motion?
Second.
Are there any questions? No questions?
Mr. Malone?
Yes, but I'm staying on FF, GG, and KK. The reason being, I am the facilities director for the Pineland School District, and as such, I have recused myself from any and all board discussion involving my employer and the shared service agreement for facilities and maintenance between our 2 school districts.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetzi?
Yes.
Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 13, facilities. Recommend motion to approve facilities items A through C. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? No questions?
Mr. Malone?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetzi?
Yes.
Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carries.
There is no technology items at this time. Moving on to new business. Recommend a motion to amend the agenda to approve the following recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Approve the withholding of an increment for the 2019-2020 school year for employee ID 196901, effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Malone?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetzi?
Yes.
Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Informational items presented for informational purposes only. Moving on to personnel items. Recommend motion to approve personnel items 1 through 19. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Any questions?
Mr. Malone?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeo?
Yes. Yes.
Dalia.
Talia? Mrs. Mrs. Janetti?
Yes.
Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It's all good, don't worry.
It's all good.
Had the Leo on my old board, I apologize.
Recommend motion to approve harassment, intimidation, and bullying cases as per executive session. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? Any questions? No questions?
I'm sorry.
Madge, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
May I ask you a question?
Well, Seth, I got a shower.
Okay.
Gotta go quick.
Aside from the HVAC system, are there any questions?
Mr. Balone?
Yes.
Mr. Dalio?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetti? Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Policies and procedures, recommend motion to approve policies and procedures, items A through I. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? No questions?
Mr. Balone?
Yes.
Mr. Dalio?
Yes.
Mrs. Janetti? Dr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman? Mr. Moncrief?
Yes.
Motion carries.
More informational items presented for informational purposes, enrollment attendance reports, health office reports, suspension reports, fire emergency drill reports. Public comment, the floor is now open to members of the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express with each statement made by a participant limited to 3 minutes as cited in policy 167. There's a sign-in sheet located at the podium. Please sign in before you speak. Would anyone like to speak?
Madge?
Well,
Are you okay, Madge?
Hey, man. Good?
I was just rather shocked.
All right.
Okay. Madge is okay, we can move on to board forum. Let's start with Mrs. Phelan. Board forum, do you have anything to, Dr. Gross?
I'd like to thank all the guest speakers today.
Thank you, Jackie, for a good presentation. Good job. I know that you coordinate, and it's a difficult job. I know, believe me, but good job.
Mr. Delia, / Dalio.
I have nothing.
Mr. Zimmerman.
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Okay, nothing to add. Have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, 6:17.
See everyone tomorrow. Get ready for fun.
There, you were close. Take away the presentation.
Ready for some fun, Dr.
Take away
Beckman?
his questions. You did. Take away his questions, see where he might have had it. 17 minutes.